Can you work while on Social Security disability insurance? Yes, you can, but there are earnings limits. If you start working, you must know the rules to avoid losing your disability benefits. And as usual, there are way too many rules. Once you're on SSDI, there's an initial monthly earnings limit. If you exceed that, it triggers what the SSA, Social Security Administration, calls a trial work period, or the TWP. I'm Beverly Harzog, and I'm going to explain that next. The trial work period is designed to let you test your ability to work for 9 months, but that's cumulative, not consecutive, over a rolling 5-year period. The first limit to think about is $1,160 a month. If you make over that limit, that triggers the TWP. You have a total of 9 months where you can exceed the limit, but only during the next 5 years. Here's an example. Let's say you've been on SSDI for 1 month and you earn $1,000. That's fine. You're under the limit. But in the next month, you make $1,200 and that is over the limit. So that counts as one of the 9 months in the TWP. But once you trigger the 9th month, you go into the next phase. And here's an exception. It's a little different if you're self-employed. If you work more than 80 hours in a month, that's considered one of your TWP months. Social Security treats self-employment like it's from outer space. I don't know why they're like that. It's always complicated. I urge you to call the SSA or ask an attorney about your situation if you're self-employed. When you have accumulated 9 months, you enter the next phase, and that's the extended period of eligibility called the EPE. Earnings limit changes, and we start talking about substantial gainful activity, SGA. Okay, extended period of eligibility, EPE, is a 3-year period. During this time, you become eligible for SSDI benefits if you engage in substantial gainful activity. The limits are based on 2 categories. The 2025 limits are monthly, and it's based on your gross income. If you're blind, the limit is $2,700. If you have a non-blind disability, the limit is $1,620. If you exceed these limits, you've engaged in what the Social Security Administration calls substantial gainful activity. If you earn more than the limit, net of impairment-related work expenses, and I'll explain that in a second, you're engaging in SGA. Impairment-related work expenses gives you a way to offset your income if you have exceeded the monthly limit. Impairment-related work expenses, IRWEs, covers things like transportation you might need if you can't drive, special equipment, any sort of supported working conditions, such as needing extra time to do your job or needing some other assistance or extra support due to your disability. I have an example of how that works. Let's take a look. Tom is on SSDI, has a non-blind disability and is in the 3-year EPA phase and earns $1,800 a month. Let's test for SGA. Here's where IRWE comes in and helps. Let's say it takes Tom 20% longer to do his job. We would multiply 1,800 by 20% and we get 360. We subtract 360 from 1,800 and that gets him down to 1,440 as gross pay. So he passes the SGA test, 1,620 minus 1,440, and he's $180 under the limit. So he did not engage in SGA. But what if he gets a raise? Let's look at that example. Now, gross pay is $2,200, and the impair-related work expenses changes to $440 because now we're taking 20% from $2,200. It is over the limit by $140, even after we deduct the IRWE. So if you're in the non-blind category and you make above $1,620 a month, you'll be ineligible for SSDI. But they will give you a 3-month grace period. You get the month you went over and then 2 more after that. But it's not over yet. If you're still within the 3-year phase and your earnings fall below SGA in a month, the SSA can restart your benefits without a new application. And I know it takes it months to get approved. But what if you return to work and then your disability returns. Well, it's still not over. Let's say you've been working, but then your disability returns within 5 years of having your SSDI cut off. Social Security can do what's called an expedited reinstatement of benefits, EXR, yet another acronym, but only if it's related to the initial reason you were approved for SSDI. And you must be unable to perform any substantial gainful activity. Now, if it's true and you cannot perform SGA, you won't have to apply again and wait for approval. And I know that takes a long time. So the SSA offers temporary payments for 6 months during that approval process while they review everything. Okay, that was a lot. Just a few more reminders, plus a tiny little rant at the SSA coming right up. Okay, now this is important. You must report all your work activity to the Social Security Administration. There are several ways to do that. You can do that through your My Social Security account, but there are other ways too. I dropped a link into the description below that you can also email or call the SSA, whatever works for you. So, this is a complex topic, and there are exceptions and even more rules, and I can't cover them all in one video. So, I gave you a broad overview of how it works, but it's so easy to make a wrong turn. So, I do encourage you to call the SSA if you have any questions about your unique circumstances. Oh, here's my tiny little rant. If you need this many acronyms to describe the rules for getting help, maybe you need to simplify it. Just a thought. Okay, one more thing. There's also the Ticket to Work program, which makes benefits counselors available to you through the SSA. You'll find a link to this program in the description below. And by the way, if you're new here, welcome. If you're a regular viewer, I'm so glad you're back. I appreciate y'all. I really do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.